Hey there, Pro Church Media community, this is Jason again. In this tutorial, we're going to look at how you can rig up characters inside of Adobe Character Animator using artwork from either Photoshop or Illustrator. It's super fun, super easy, and you don't have to have any experience with character rigging or animation because Character Animator does a lot of the work for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to start here in Illustrator, and I have this character made. So I'm not going to go over how to actually create the character, but just more of how to get your character set up well for Character Animator. Okay, so you actually can, be pretty unorganized with how you set up your character, but it definitely helps to be very organized and to actually set it up in certain ways, just so Character Animator will do a lot of the rigging for you. Okay, so in this example, we're here in Illustrator, and I have this top level layer, which is just my overall character. It contains all the other artwork. If we move down into the layer stack, we have two sub layers, one for the head, which contains all of the head and the mustache and the helmet and all that kind of stuff, and then another one that contains the body, so the body, the arms, the legs, the sword, the cape, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so you'll notice inside of the head that I have, this organized pretty well, and I have everything named in a specific way. So most importantly, I have the eyebrows named as right eyebrow and left eyebrow, and I'm, going opposite of what I'm looking at. So I'm imagining, his right, his left eyebrow. And so having those named as they are will actually automatically rig them up inside of Character Animator. The same thing is true with right eye and left eye. And inside of those, I actually have like a blink state, so I called it right blink, and you can see it's just, his eyes closed like that. And so this will actually auto blink with the character, which is kind of handy. So if you make sure to use the right naming conventions, Character Animator will automatically rig all those up. I also have inside my mouth layer, there's all these different visemes, which are basically just different mouth states for different sounds. And so you can see there's like the L, F, W, O, R, E, S, D, and M. If you go over to helpx.adobe.com/Adobe Character Animator/using/behavior, and then inside that page search for viseme, you'll eventually find this chart which gives you all the different visemes that you might need. And you can, of course, add some other ones too in different mouth states like neutral, smile, surprised. But if you name all of your visemes exactly like is indicated here, all of those will be automatically rigged inside of Character Animator. And so you can actually rig these yourself if you need to, like if you don't name them exactly like this, but it's a lot easier to let the robots do all the work. So I like to be able to just name these all exactly like this, so Character Animator will automatically rig them up. All right, so back inside of Illustrator, you can see I have all those named up just like that, and they're all just grouped into this mouth layer. Now you might notice that some of these layers have a plus in front of them, and that basically is just a little tag you can add to the name that basically tells Character Animator that that layer is an independent layer. And so when you do that, it basically allows you to manipulate those layers separately. If you forget to put the tag or you change your mind later, that's okay because you can still make that determination inside of Character Animator. But again, if you do this inside of Illustrator or Photoshop, it's going to automatically rig all those things up and just make your life a whole lot easier. All right, so let's move down to the body, and I basically have a chest, which is just the chest here. And this is important just because it's going to basically kind of do like a breathing movement, which you can set it to do, which is kind of cool. You could also break it out by like, maybe I don't want this entire thing to be the chest. Maybe I want some of it to be the torso. You can do that if you want to. I'm just going to leave that all in that chest layer. Then I have the left arm, I have the right arm, left leg, and this left leg, right leg, and this cape. And so that's all my artwork, and it's pretty much ready to go. I have it all named how I want it, and so I'm ready to basically bring it into Character Animator. So let's jump back into Character Animator. All right, I'm going to start with a new project here. And I'm just going to call this Vlad 7. I think I'm on version 7 now. So, all right, and so you're definitely going to want a webcam and a good microphone for this, and you'll see all that up in here if you want to. You can also turn it off if you don't want to see yourself the entire time. And I might just do that for right now, just to kind of close this for right now. Okay, also to help with the performance. Okay, so let's import our character. So just double click here in the project panel. And I'm just going to choose Vlad the PCM Norseman. And that will import the artwork. And if you double click on it over here, it's going to basically start setting it up and getting everything rigged together. Okay, so once you have that, you can move this panel around if you want to, or put it wherever you want. And so now you can start rigging it. If you want to see what this is actually looking like, you can open up the scene. And so you can just add it to a new scene, and you can then see what everything is looking like. And you can see, not everything's working right. Some of the stuff's working, but not everything's right. So I think I'm just going to click on my character here, and let's go to transform and just scale the whole thing down just a bit. You can, of course, make the scene bigger if you want to, but I think I just want to scale it like that. And that looks pretty good. And so I think I'm going to close this for now just so I can focus on the rigging. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to click on the head here. I'm just going to work my way down. And so I have this head origin point here, or anchor point. I'm just going to move this down to about right around the chin, right where that neck would be basically. And so I think that'll work pretty well. And I think the rest of the head should actually be pretty good. All right, now I'm going to go to these mustaches, and I want to actually make these be able to kind of dangle around and blow in the wind, things like that. So you'll notice with this little crown icon here, this basically means that it's a independent layer, and so it'll give you the origin point. I'm just going to drag that up there to basically where it connects to the rest of the mustache. And then I want to use this dangle tool down here and just click a point right there. And now let me pull up the scene, and we'll see what that's doing. You can see as I move around, it's actually kind of reacting to my movements, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of just dangling there. We'll add some wind later, but you can see that's kind of sweet. So we're going to do the same thing with the right mustache. So just click on the right mustache. And again, set that origin point up there. And then we'll use the dangle tool to just set that down there. And now these should both be dangling, and that's working out pretty well. Okay, one thing, let me open up the scene again. One thing that is definitely a problem is that, he's not standing on the ground, and so he's just kind of rotating everywhere. So we want to basically affix the feet to the bottom, like the floor. So let's go to left leg. And then you'll see this little plus right here in the rigging panel. You can just click that and go over to other, and then choose fixed. And that should affix it to the bottom, basically where its artwork bound is. And so it's basically, now sticking to the floor like I want it to. So I'm going to do the same thing with this other leg. So just click on right leg, do that little plus button, and then choose fixed. And now he should be able to, just kind of stand in place, but still kind of move around. That's pretty fun. So I like it. So we'll go with that. Okay, next let's work on the arms. And so obviously these arms aren't connected to the body. So let's go to, I guess looks like the eyebrows are actually all attached pretty well. Like I'm moving my eyebrows up and down, and the eyes are blinking. So that's all working pretty well. So we don't really have to focus on that. If you didn't have these rigged up, like if you had them named something differently, what you can do is just use this visual tagger right here. So you just click on your whatever layer you have for your eyebrow, and then just come over here and then just make sure that's selected. And you would do the same thing for every other artwork that you want to actually attach to a certain part of the body. And again, with the blinks, the eyelids, all that kind of stuff. And so it's a pretty easy way, pretty intuitive way to actually rig up a character. And you can do the same thing with the visemes here. And so you can see there's like the M, S, D, E, so on and so forth. And so if you have, your mouth layer and you have a whole bunch of visemes that you didn't label properly, you can just, manually click on them, and tag them over here, and then you're pretty much good to go. Okay, so we have the mouth. Let's work on the body here. So I'm going to move my body anchor point down here to more like the center of gravity, just to kind of get, that working out. And that's actually going to get my arms more attached to the body, because now there's actually a place where they should be attached. And so that's a nice helpful thing. So now my arms are fixed. Now we just need to make my arms be able to move. And so there's a couple different ways you can do this. And we're going to work on both because they both kind of play into each other. And I'm going to go ahead and I guess I'll leave this up. So I'm going to click on left arm here. And you can see I have this origin point, and I definitely want my arms to be independent. So if they're not independent, just click on this crown and that will make them independent or not independent. And so you can see if it's not independent, I don't really have, that origin point anymore, and it's going to just mess everything up. So I'm just going to make sure that's independent. And then bring that up to about where the shoulder would be. And so if you imagine where your shoulder would be rotating, attached to your body, that's about where you want that pin. Next, I'm going to grab this tool called the dragger tool, which allows you to manipulate the artwork within the scene. I'm just going to put that kind of right here on the center of the hand. And so now if I come over to my scene, you can see I can just start manipulating this arm, which is kind of cool. It looks a little rubbery because, it's not really giving me doesn't have any bones or anything, so it's kind of like Gumby, but it can be kind of fun depending on your character. But for this guy, I don't want him to have rubbery arms because he's a very powerful Norseman with short arms and a sword. So let's give him some structure to these arms. So I'm going to come down to the stick tool, and this is basically allows you to kind of almost, for limbs, you can kind of think about it almost like bones. It also tells you where you don't want the artwork to bend at all. And so for the arms and stuff like that, I like to think of it as basically bones. And so I'm just going to draw basically a bone right here to about the elbow, something like that. And then I'm going to do another one kind of right around here. Just kind of come to the edge of the hand there because I don't want this to be bending like it's rubber. And then what I need to do is come down to this handle tool right here, click on that, and then just add this about at the elbow. You could probably put it up there if you want to, but I'm just going to put it right in the middle. It's a very stylized arm, so it probably doesn't matter too much. And so now when I start moving this, you can see it's got a lot more firmness right there, and so it's more rigid like it should be, and you can see we're getting more flexing, which is great. And so I think that's looking pretty cool. Still have the kind of rubbery stretchiness. We'll fix that here in a minute. So let's go ahead and do this with the other arm. So I'm just going to click on right arm, and once again move that anchor point to about where it would attach to the body. I also want to grab that dragger tool, put it right around there, and again pull up the stick tool and create my bones for the arm. And then lastly grab the handle tool, put it about where the elbow would be, click on that. And so now as we drag this around, you can see we're starting to get that flexing too, which it should be. And so it's looking pretty good. Still getting the stretchiness though. So now we need to basically add an inverse kinematic tag to this, or a behavior to basically help the arms move more like actual arms. So I'm going to start by going up to the Viking top layer, or whatever my top artwork layer is, and come down to behaviors and then hit the plus button, and I want to choose arm IK. Now it's going to add that, and initially it's not going to do anything because the IK isn't actually rigged up. If you don't know what IK means, it basically means inverse kinematics. It allows you to basically use the movement of the hand to rotate the rest of the arm as it should. And so we need to rig up this, because if you go down to the behaviors, there's this little handles thing, which is giving you an overview of what should be rigged up. So there's neck, right shoulder, and you can see all of these are at 0, which means it doesn't know what to rig up for those. And so we need to go in and tell it. So let's go and click on left arm. And now I'm going to click on that left arm pin right there. And I just need to, say it's the shoulder. And it's just as easy as that. And so it's pretty super simple. For the elbow, I just need to click on that little handle right there at the elbow, go over to my elbow, boom, just like that. And once again, for the wrist, I just need to click on that little guy right there, just do the wrist, and that's basically it. We'll do the same thing for the right arm, so just make sure that's selected. Click on the shoulder, do the shoulder, click on the elbow, do the elbow. And this will actually perform a lot faster if you don't have your scene open. I just want you to be able to see what this is doing. And then we'll go to the draggable one here, do it for the wrist. We got that. And then lastly, let's click on the head, because I want this to basically be the neck. And so I'm just going to make it both the head and the neck, since we don't really have a neck. All right, so now if we go to our Viking here. All right, now everything is done properly. So we don't have the waist or the hips because we don't really need that for our character. But now these, if you start bending these, you can see we're getting that nice flexing. I have good, stiffness where there should be, nice bending where there should be. But now I can't really stretch it as far as I can. If I really keep dragging it, I can. But it doesn't just, easily bend too much. And so it becomes a lot more realistic and a lot easier to control. I can do the same thing with this one. And so that's pretty cool. I might go into my right arm here and just draw a stick on the sword just to make sure it's not flopping around like it's rubber. Because, he is a Norseman. He has to be powerful and fearsome, and having a rubbery sword isn't going to help with that. So now we can see, yeah, that sword's a lot stiffer. Looks great. He can slash and hack and pillage to his heart's content. Okay. All right, so now what we need to do, so we have all our inverse kinematics rigged up. Let's get some breathing going on here just to make it a bit more realistic. So let's go to chest, and you can see there's actually already a breathe tag attached to this. If you don't see this, you can just, I'm just going to take this off real quick. You can just go down to the little blue check and go to other and then choose breathe. And so initially it's not going to do anything because what you actually have to do is add the behavior. And so I'm going to go to behavior, breathe. And so now that there's a behavior that's actually applied, now it will see that that tag is on the chest, and so it's going to apply this behavior to that tag. And you can see this is obviously way too much. I might move the chest up, the anchor point up, just so it's not all the way down there. So it's not, yeah. So we got that breathing going on. So what we can do is make this look a little better. We can put the max scale down quite a bit, maybe to like 106 or so, just to kind of make it pretty subtle. Let's make him have just finished a marathon, so he'll be breathing at 50 breaths a minute. Let's see, there we go. He's breathing pretty heavily now, so that's kind of fun. Okay, so yeah, we can move him around. He's gonna auto breathe, and so it's pretty sweet. Okay, so our puppet is almost all rigged up. But let's go ahead and get the mustaches and the cape to kind of blow in the wind. So I'm going to go up to the Viking top layer, and I'm going to close up the tags, close up the arm IK, and I need to add a physics to this. Well, actually, we can just go into our puppet here. So just click on the puppet, and you can see, we have this physics tab here. So let's open that up. And then we want the wind strength to be, more than 0%. So as we start moving this up, you can see his the mustaches start blowing in the wind, which is kind of fun. We can choose variation on the wind strength. We can also change up the directions. We could have it going that way, whatever we want. So it's pretty fun. You can also change up how the dangle parameter works, how much squashiness, stiffness, that kind of stuff. And so that's pretty awesome. Let's get that cape to blow in the wind. So we need to make this an independent layer. And so you'll notice in Illustrator, I forgot to do that. I didn't add the plus in front of it. So all I have to do is just click on this little crown icon. So just make sure that's selected. And now it's going to give me that origin point. So now I just want to pull this up to the top. And I'm going to get the stick tool and just, make the top of my cape stiff just so it's not kind of like flopping all over the place. And now I just need to add that dangle tool right to the bottom here. And that should start blowing that cape in the wind. And so you can see we got our cape blowing around, we got our mustachios blowing around, we have the head moving like we want it to, the body all rigged up. I can do a little bit of, hip shaking, stuff like that. I can move my arms around, which is great. I can, rah, 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 Norseman, rah, pillage and sack. That's what we love. That was a terrible chant. Anyway, so you can do all kinds of awesome stuff with this. And let me pull up the camera again here. And so when you're getting ready to record this or something, it doesn't, I've noticed it doesn't work terribly well with glasses. And so sometimes I'll just have to take my glasses off, which means I can't see anymore. But once you kind of are ready to go, you just want to kind of get where you think you're going to be, facing as you're recording this. And then just click on this set reset pose or set rest pose. And that'll kind of reset it. And that'll be the, starting position. Then you can, move your eyes around, up and down, move your head, all that kind of stuff. And that's going to basically be the default state. And then every motion you make off of that, it's going to base off of that rest state. And so my eyes are blinking, eyebrows can go up and down. The lip syncing is working pretty well. I can always go in and modify it a little bit more if I want to. And so it's just super cool. And I have this great rigged up character that's ready to start just having some fun with recording, live streaming. Actually, Character Animator works really well for live streaming. I think that's one of its most useful features, but it's pretty sweet. And so I think that's it. One more thing I was going to show you is you can also do some other things with this. I'm not going to actually go through the process just because it would take too long, but I'll show you another example that I've used with Vlad here. So let me open up a previous project. And with this one, I actually have it rigged up so that there's some different states I can trigger via keyboard commands. For example, with the keyboard command R, he will raise his sword. With the keyboard command T, I think he'll lower his hand. I think W, he'll lower, let's see. Oh, W, he'll go into like worried mode. Q, I think he just closes his eyes. A, he goes into angry mode. Let's see. I think R, let's see, R and T. I know there's one where he actually raises his, okay, so E and R, he'll raise both arms, and W and T, or there's one where he lowers. I don't remember what I rigged it up as. But anyway, you can do some really interesting, there it is. T and Y, he'll like lower both arms, or I could just do like a slash, 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 raise the sword, slash. And so you can do some really interesting things. You can also rig up, you'll notice with this one, I can actually like wink with it. This is probably really creepy, me trying to wink at the camera so much. Sometimes it works better without glasses. There we go. And I have the eyebrows rigged up separately, so you can do that. You can also do 3/4 head turns that you can trigger via the keyboard. And so just all kinds of amazing things that are available in Character Animator. So I'd really suggest playing around with it, create some fun characters in Illustrator, bring them into Character Animator, see what you can do, rig them up, have some fun, and I will talk to you later. If you like this tutorial, be sure to visit ProChurchMediaUniversity.com, where you can find full courses, workshops, training, and more. ProChurchMediaUniversity.com.